My beard's coming back. I'm very happy.
G'day, guys, and welcome to the Centre Bounce for this, our round 8 final call. Stay tuned.
And beard tips.
Just the tips.
I think that's someone else's Joe show. I think that's someone else's show, Joe. Just the tips, but I'm not here to encroach on Jesse's kind of talking or anything like that. So yeah, it's been a good week. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, doing very well. We're here for our final call, going over the break evens. We've gotten some great feedback from you guys. You guys have loved it. We don't ramble on over each of these players. We just go short, sharp, sweet over all of, and I love it. Sweet, one of the names that we will be talking about very shortly. So yeah, going over the rookies who are really should be getting in, and some of these premiums that are coming up, which either might have to trade out or premiums that you have to bring in. So really important video. Love recording this, and it'll be our first time, Big J, with the new Supercoach layout. Thankfully, it's not that hard to do this time around.
No, that's very true. We broke it on stream, or it broke us on stream as it dropped, as they say. But yeah, no, it looks really good. This week's definitely kind of, last week was a little bit, but I think this week is going to be really polarizing. This week, next week, as guys like Petrarca start to drop in price. Who are you going to bring in? Who are you going to go out? There's a lot of people just bringing in rookies. I'm like, might not be the best week to do that, unfortunately, Joe.
Correct. 100%. We're in upgrade season, guys. We're trying to get the rookies off the field, and it's all about increasing those premiums and getting more and more on the field. And it definitely helps when they're rookie priced, also pumping out premium scores like Jordan Sweet, who's now who's averaging 102. Don't judge him for that. He was subbed out in his first game, and he was on track for 100 score there as well. So he's now had 2 very good performances. We've had the news. Soldo's out for 4 to 6 with that knee arthroscope. That was the same thing that Sean Darcy had, and his break even is now negative 113.
Yeah, I mean, he's in my side. He should be in everyone's team at the moment. Every year we get these type of players. Last year we had Briggs. Years before that, we had Riley O'Brien was one there as well. We've had Samson Ryan there as well, as a guy who, was playing ruck. Probably didn't make as much money as the other two I mentioned, but people still had him as a good cash cow. Jordan Sweet Joe was brought in by Port Adelaide to play the main ruck. Soldo came in and was just like, mate, take your time. It's okay. Play the VFL, wait for me to get injured. Got injured. Cool, Jordan Sweet main ruck now. And I don't even know if Port Adelaide win the next few games, Jordan Sweet might just be the number 1 ruck, period. So if that happens, boy, oh boy. I know I've got him possibly at R2. Is that similar for you as well?
Yes. So I'll dive into it more in our final trades video, but for now, yes. I was so bullish on him. I actually traded him in last week over someone like a Tunstall. I just knew that we're in for a good score from him. So I went early on him. So yeah, he's a must-have. Riley Garcia is the second lowest break even for players on the bubble this week, having scored a 64 in the weekend that just went by, currently averaging 73. Now, I know there was a bit of concerns over whether or not he was going to be the sub or not. I think Bevo came out and said that if Libba wasn't out, then Riley Garcia was going to be the sub. So obviously a lot of alarm bells would be ringing there. However, I think that's countered by the fact that Cody Waitman's going to miss at least 6 weeks now. I think that shores up Riley Garcia's job security.
Yeah, there's a couple of players who unfortunately I can't bring in this week. Garcia is definitely one of them. Insanely low break even. Like, if he comes out and scores a 60 again, this guy is going to make us a lot of money. And as I said, unfortunately, I can't bring him in. I'm doing other things. I want Jordan Sweet in my team. Upgrades, as we said. If you've got a trade, fantastic. Chuck him in your team because he's going to get to 300k very, very quickly. Moving down the list, I know Bailey Dale, massive week last week. Almost massive a week this week wasn't as good. You'll only take a 132, Joe. It just looks good. I don't know how long he lasts at the Dogs playing the role that he is, but while Ed Richards is in the middle, Bailey Dale's got the run of that back line, especially with Bramble not doing that well and a few of these other
Yep.
guys too.
Yeah, 100%. So it's a really interesting one for me. He's a no for me. Plays for Bevo. I'd much rather, if you're going to pick a player, I'd much rather be a rookie than a bloody fallen premium price because you never know what's going to happen with him. Could get Bevoed, and he has been Bevoed just during the course of this season as well. And I don't think he's going to be top 6 to 8 defender. So he's a no from me. If you want to get him in because you're really bullish about him, this is your last chance to get him in. Toby Conway in the ruck didn't play last week. One to keep an eye on for this week if he plays, but I don't see a reason why you would when you've got Jordan Sweet in the at R3 or R2. So forget about him. Lika Lee is one that you want to keep an eye on in case when Taylor comes back, if he keeps his spot. I'm not confident that he will, though.
Yeah, definitely not. And that's why he's never really been in my calculations or anything. I currently have House, and ironically, Reed saved me last week with not playing. So at least that worked out quite well for me because I got a nice loophole. So yeah, those things kind of work out nice. Just defenders in general, Joe. Like House is a bit of a different thing, but yeah, sometimes they just don't work out very well.
Sometimes they don't. Jake Rogers, though, it definitely worked out for him. He had a very poor game first time round, but massive bounce back the second week with a 98.
Yep. Yeah. First game, I don't know if he was subbed off or just a poor score. I think it was a 20 odd.
Poor
Obviously,
score.
98 last week. And yeah, just looks like he's dominating. I think Rosas is out for a little while, which means that Jake Rogers has a spot. I know there was some concerns, but alongside him and Sweet, obviously, and then Garcia, if I had a boost and wasn't planning on upgrading this week, those 3 into my team would just inject so much money in the bank. You'd be laughing. You could carry those 3 till the end of the buys and be happy.
Yep. Not Jake Rogers, obviously playing a small forward role. Not one that you'd want to have on field.
It didn't score many goals. One goal, yeah.
One goal,
so
but most of those, yeah. But he dominated against the Eagles and got a lot of nice. If you look at his heat map, a lot of disposals around the top of the 50, a lot of kicks inside, and getting a lot of nice score assists. So Jake Rogers has been performed really well. I still wouldn't feel confident fielding him, especially in the midfield. You'd imagine there are better options in the midfield to field. Whereas if you want to get a Garcia and plop him forward, then the forward options are a lot more scarce. So if you need a fieldable option because of the way your team is set up and you can only choose one or the other, that's something that you have to decide. It's all team dependent, I guess. But yeah, those are 3 rookies that are must.
And money, Rogers being a little bit more expensive and not being a ruckman might sway a few people too.
Correct. Mate, Harley Reid still... But first, my boy, Mikelty Lefau. My boy, Mikelty. Look at him.
I don't know if he's your boy anymore if you don't pick him.
Bro, he's my boy. No, he was my boy. Even though I don't pick him, I'm so proud of him. I'm so happy for him. He's made 134K and his break even is still negative 35. He will be my boy. People in the comment section, let me know. Can I claim Mikelty as my boy? Because I love Mikelty. I'm going to call him my boy. I don't care.
All right. You can do that if you want to. Yeah, no, he scored really well. The negative 35 break even means, and this is something that I've tossed up with Tom Powell and a few other players too, like the trade costs 100K, but he should end up getting to about 300, hopefully 350 if he can keep this up. So if you had brought him in last week, even at an inflated price, you're still doing better so far. So yeah, playing well. Very, very good for 5 games into the AFL, no real preseason, like player of opportunity, and he's taken that like 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually happy now that Harley Reid was rested last week because if he was flagging, according to what Adam Simpson was saying, it could have meant that he was going to have a poorer score. Now that he did not play, comes into this game super refreshed, and his break even is negative 30. He's primed to have a great game now, having had that week off, and potentially continue that nice upward price price rise for Harley Reid. To me, he's a keeper almost at this point.
Yeah. I mean, like, he really has to have a fall off or have an unfortunate injury or something for a lot of people not to keep him. I mean, the guy's what? Came out last week, scored a 130 odd. If you don't have Harley Reid, it kind of sucks. Those people that don't have him got saved a little bit last week because outside of the best 18 scenario. Yeah, very, very happy with the selection there. Keeper status potentially, but imagine if like Bont was 700k and the only way you could get him was by flipping a Harley Reid. You'd probably do it though.
Yeah, Bond's not there.
Maybe
Gorn
he's
is
your
though.
to Max Gorn. Yeah, Harley Reid to Max Gorn. Harley Reid would love that. Send him an
Oh, he would
email.
love
Say
that.
thanks for going so well. I got Max Gorn in. Why not?
Darcy Jones only play the one game. Keep a look
Yep.
on him. Don't even consider going early on him.
He's
Daniel
one of
Turner.
like,
Yeah, correct.
downgrade
Also,
on
Daniel
that.
Turner. Don't worry about him. He's playing key forward in defense. 191k as well. Probably wouldn't go there unless he scores another massive one this week. If he scores like 100 again, then that's back-to-back hundreds, which means holy crap, Batman, he's making lots of money. But for now, don't worry about him. Jace Burgoyne, holy crap, where'd this come from? 141k. He's gone 117 last week, and his break even still negative 21. So if you got Jace Burgoyne, congratulations.
I mean, we had the same thing with Dylan Williams last year as well, right? They got random Frio rookies, Joe, in the defense. Just
Poor Adelaide, not Freo.
Port Adelaide, yeah. He was more expensive though, and I think a lot of us got scared off by Gibcus being injured early, and then Howell's scoring so well as well. So there are always concerns. Look, is he going to play? I know Noah Ainsworth, not Ainsworth, Ainsworth, is in a similar position as well. I think he's gone up 180k. So if you had them, fantastic. You know, you'd be very, very happy. I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Ownership would be like 0%.
Yeah, exactly. Cooper Simpson, one to look at for in the future. Yep. Patrick Voss, I think, was just covering Giant Amos, so I wouldn't worry about him. Congratulations to Vossi, though. So happy for him that he's finally got a debut. He won our BNF in the VFL last year and never got a gig. So I'm so glad that he's got a gig. He's played and he kicked that first goal. Wrapped for you, Vossi. I wish we still had you, mate.
Yeah. I think that's probably about it. Yeah, no,
potentially.
I'm not touching him. I'm not touching him. I think there's better options coming up over the next couple of weeks. You're not picking McAuliffe over a Rogers. You're not picking him over a Sweet. The only reason you care about him really is if you've got him in your team already and you went early on the selection. So, yeah, it's not there. We passed over Hugo Garcia, who I hope plays a bit longer. And Biggie Newen is coming up as well, who I also hope plays for a bit longer because I've got them both in my team. But yeah, 2 players on the fringes, unfortunately, Joe.
Well, 3. Well, the good thing is for us super coaches, obviously not for the St Kilda Football Club, but Jack Higgins, suspended, suspension upheld. So he's going to be missing 3 games. So that should in turn bolster Hugo Garcia's job security at least for the next 3 weeks, which is obviously really beneficial for us. But yeah, Biggie, please hold your spot, Biggie. Wasn't he helping out in the ruck as well, Biggie? So he had some ruck contest?
Because we have no one else, basically. And Nick Larkey keeps playing in the ruck. And we can't really have our key forward playing in the ruck if he's supposed to be there to get goals. So Biggie Newen has had some hit outs in the ruck. Hopefully that means that he keeps his spot even if he plays off the back. But we'll wait and see for that. 8 break even is not great after 1 price rise. I said in my team video, if he gets to 250k, I think I'll be happy with the selection there. It's not exactly what we were looking for, but it is what it is.
100%.
Congrats to everyone who held Colby McKercher, though.
Yeah, that's not sustainable. 12 kick-ins for 102. No, not sustainable. I'm good to fade, thanks. All right, so those are the rookies. So in summary, the 3 that you want this week: Sweet, Garcia, Rogers. Those are the 3 rookies that really matter at this point.
And you probably go Sweet first.
But Sweet is without a doubt number 1. He's the must-have, and then you can raffle off between Garcia and Rogers, team dependent, but without a doubt, Sweet is an absolute must-have. Okay, so now we've got a filter.
Yeah, now we're going to get rid of our premiums. So the primos we need to get out, and there's probably not that many, Joe. If we look at them there, your normal suspects, and then you've got a ruckman who Joe's not very happy about. And then you have a forward who Big J's not very happy. Sorry, not a forward, a midfielder who Big J's not very happy about. Rowan Marshall. So obviously he's going to be cheap. But getting Rowan Marshall being cheap, what's your plans? Is he sustainable? Do our fans hold? With obviously Sweets going there. It is a bit of a death ride though, right? Kind of just like whatever happens.
Stuff you, Rowan Marshall. I want to drop an F bomb so bad on this son of a bitch, but
no please.
Rowan Marshall, never again. That's it. Never again. Get stuffed. I'm never gonna have you in my team. If anyone ever for the rest of my life on this channel notices or hears me saying I'm considering Rowan Marshall, I want you to virtually slap me, send me a letter in the mail, hit me up on Twitter or something and say he's on your never again list. Never again. I'm trading him out. He is gone. 100%. The question becomes, who does he go to? And that's going to be entirely dependent on how Sweet goes this week. If Sweet does well, like we anticipate him to do, then Marshall becomes a uber primo mid for me. If he does, and if Sweet doesn't do great, then Marshall becomes Max Gorman. So, but regardless, Rowan Marshall, he is gone. Never again. Stuff you.
Get in the bin. In the bin.
Get in the bin, and then at the bottom of the bin, I want an incinerator. I want to burn him up, bro.
Next up on the list we'll talk about is Jack Steele. Obviously, I've got him in my team. Very famously, Joe does not have him in his team. Otherwise, I think he might not be doing the video this week.
No.
We'll see what happens there. Jack Steele could end up being the price that everyone started him with. Now, I was very happy I didn't bring him in at 640k, but he's a hold for me. I know a few people are jumping off unless the club comes out and confirms that, oh, look, he's actually done his ACL or something like that. He's a hold. He might end up just being a bench option for me at the moment while he plays, but he's one that I've decided never on my list again. Just every year there's something. Last year was the shoulder. I brought him in. This year I brought him in. Cool. I got a 140 and then a 70. Like it happens. Moving down the list, Christian Petrarca is going to be very cheap and very, very good for us in, I think I've pictured 2 weeks in my timeline.
Yep.
So not next week, not this week, but the week after. Get him in while you can because he plays a lot of games at the MCG and will score well. Connor Rosie, similar as well. Probably a really fringe pick for some people, but if you have him, you'd think you'd hold, right? 576k. It's not like you can really sideways to anyone without spending some extra money on top.
It's the 0 week hammy. I've seen 1 week hammies, but I've never seen 0 week hammies before. This is unreal.
Done. And when you're the captain, Joe, they give you the special juice. That's what happens.
Oh, yes. Yes, potentially. Luke Ryan, keen to get him in my team soon. 165 break even. Mate, come on down, son. Come on down. Get cheap.
Richmond, let him get lots of kicks. I want him that 165 this week. Please, Richmond.
Oh, he might. He'll get there just on kick-ins alone, that son of a biche. Puke Ryan, bro. He's just disgusting how he plays. Isaac Heaney, 161 break even. He's finally going to come down in price for you guys. He's finally coming down.
Maybe.
Would you spend?
Maybe.
Bro, he's playing in torrential rain against the Giants. He's not going to score 161.
Doesn't matter. Things happen, right? As I said before, Heaney's going to be a keeper in your forward line. It's weird to say, but if you don't have him, you can wait for the price drop. If you don't have him, you probably should have got him like 5 weeks ago. So, yeah, that's all I can say. On really. I love me some Tim Kelly. I'm just kidding. Moving down the list, Who else is there? Well, you kind of not anyone else who you really want. No one's really bringing Zach Butters in. I think most people would have him similar with a Harry Sheasel at this point. Your team would have to be very, very different. Tom Stewart, I know, Joe, you're tracking at the moment.
Next week.
For me, his scoring just hasn't really been there. So I need to see something because if you look at his scoring from the last few weeks, like, cool, he's got lots of 90s and an 80 and like a 70 and then a 120. I know Geelong are winning every game, so the ball's not in their defense, but Geelong were winning a lot last year and he's still got a lot of the ball. I think Zach Guthrie, I think SDK has definitely affected Tom Stewart's scoring a bit. So something to watch out for there. I mean, I've got one spot left. I'd rather have Houston than Tom Stewart, to be fair. So,
I'm going to have both.
I could potentially have both too.
There you go.
No one's bringing Hugh McCluggage in. Hayden Young. I'm very glad I didn't pull the trigger and get you. Few people brought.
He'll do well this week, though. He'll do well against Richmond this week.
Maybe we'll see. Noah Anderson. I know a few people pulled the trigger last week and fantastic score with the 151. I'm going after Zach Merritt next week, Joe. Hopefully, he does not score more than what his break even is, because that would suck.
He can, though.
Yeah, West Coast do nullify opposition mids a little bit. So, depending on Harley Reid playing and Elliot Yeo still playing and Jinby and whoever those guys go to, I'll take a 120. I'm not expecting a cash drop from Zach Merritt. Just don't go 160. Don't go 200 and like screw me over.
Oh. No, he won't go 200. But
that's probably a big
thing. You're right. West Coast have been a much more improved side, but they've been really good against the inside mids. I think when it comes to the outside type players that can torch in transition, they don't have the leg speed in that midfield to do so. And that's why you saw players like Tuke Miller and Noah Anderson go bananas last week, because they have that transition game, which allows them to run back into defense, help out, and then push up the ground. That's what Zach Merritt does for us really well. So I wouldn't be surprised.
That's why Nick Martin's projected 141 this week.
Exactly. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a 130 from Zach Merritt this week. Dunkley, 126. He's starting to get to his fair price because his break he's averaging 110. He's got a 120 last week. I don't know. He's a good player. He's a great player, Dunks. You can have.
I just don't have space for him in my midfield, really.
True. Yeah, no space for him. That's the question. That's the thing. Errol, I think Errol Goulden's fluctuations are very wild. And I don't think he's top 8. So 107, I wouldn't go there. Shea Bolton, 125. He scored a 67, averaging 95. That's why I'm saying, like, you could get him in, but there's no reason to, because he's always going to be prone to having these stinker games by virtue of his role and team that he plays for. So you can always get him in at a cheaper price, and his break even is now 125. So there's no rush to get in any of these uber primo mid forward players.
Yeah, it kind of depends. Like him and Dane Zorko, if you owned both of those last week, like I think a few of the people in George's Discord season over, unfortunately. But yeah, they're both going to drop a bit in money. You can get them around 500K. You'd be very, very happy. Similar to someone else who can also get around 500K, and that's Matt Crouch, who's decided to end up back at his starting price again, almost. So yeah, glad I didn't pull the trigger on Matt Crouch, but Jordan Dawson's come in and started to take a little bit of his role, it feels like, and Matt Crouch is definitely feeling it right now, Joe. Similar to someone else taking his role. I know you love segues. Luke Jackson with the big 76 last week.
And that's why we didn't start him, right? That's the this is the exact reason why we didn't start him. Average with Sean Darcy in the team was 80 points. And I was not going to spend 550K for someone who's going to potentially average 80 points for the rest of the season. So this is the reason why we didn't pick him, but I'd still hold on to him if you own him, because he's still great ruck coverage during the buys, and it's likely that he's still going to be a top 6 forward. If you haven't got the Bont because you decided to fade him, you weren't willing to spend over $700,000 for a player, then congratulations, you've done incredibly well. You managed to avoid his 116 average, which hasn't hurt you by any stretch. And now his break even's 124. I think now is a great time to trade him in if you haven't already, and you can slap the C on him as well because I see him going bananas against the Hawks this week. I don't think you're going to get him for any cheaper than 614k. So if you faded him, congratulations. This is the time to bring him in.
Yeah, definitely. I think Joe's saying maybe not this week. I think potentially one more week. Does he get to sub 600? Not against the Hawks. If he was playing another team, cool. Probably not against North Melbourne either, let's be honest. Or maybe West Coast. But everyone else, sure. It's fantastic there, Joe. Is there anyone else on the list we need to talk about? Sam Flanders, if you don't have him, you need to get him in.
Yeah.
He's getting appropriately priced. So
yes,
you could have had him in a bit earlier for a cheaper price. Can't do that anymore. There's still some value in Sam Walsh, Joe, I think, as well, if you scroll down a little bit. Hopefully he does well versus Collingwood, who
he'll smash him.
Lost Crisp and lost Tom Mitchell.
No DeGoey.
Sorry, no DeGoey. DeGoey and Tom Mitchell, I believe.
And no Mitchell.
And no Mitchell. Yeah. So should do well. Is there anyone on the list there before we wrap up today's episode?
Look, Sinclair 117. Keep an eye on him. That Marvel run is to come, and he's got North Melbourne this week. So this might be the cheapest you see him. He's been building slowly into the season, averaging 94. He went a 113 last week. So he's sort of improving as he had that interruption in his preseason. 529k. He's shown in the past he's capable of being a top 6 defender with a great matchup this week and a 117 break even, which he could well and truly beat this week. We could be seeing the cheapest of Jack Sinclair. Maybe if you want to wait another week on him to see how he goes, that's absolutely acceptable. But he might be one of those players that you are leaving a spot for in defense for that great run home.
I think there's going to be a few players. I mentioned Tom Stewart just before. Jack Sinclair could be another one. We've struggled in the past with having some of these players as bench cover. And I think this year we're in a little bit of a different position. I know I've got Nick Martin there. I've got Nick Dacos there as well with DPP. So we can run for these guys and then swing players around and move them around. So if you're feeling cheeky, maybe a Jack Sinclair, maybe a Tom Stewart, maybe some of these other guys, chuck them in your team. We've got a lot of cash down this year, Joe.
That we do. And on that note, I think that will bring our video to a close here, guys. So thank you so much for watching. If you liked what we had to say here today, please drop us a like and a subscription if you're new. It will greatly help the growth of our channel. And make sure you hit that notification bell to make sure that you don't miss out on any of our videos and live streams that we are pumping out on a regular basis here.
100%, guys. Remember, just to recap, Sweet, you need him. Rogers, you probably need him. Garcia, if you've got a space as well. So those are probably the 3 big rookies today. Number of different primos that can work out really well. Live streams tomorrow, the drive home. Love these Thursday games. Love these people jumping on and just the interactions, Joe. We've had a couple of hundred people now, and it's been really exciting to chat to all the fans.
Absolutely. You guys are absolutely unbelievable. Would not be doing this as often or as hard as we work if it wasn't for you guys just completely buying in and being an absolutely wonderful little community that we're building here. If there are any players that you want us to talk about that we haven't discussed in this video today, please let us know in the comments down below and we'll get back to you.
100%, guys, because here at the Centre Bounce, we do the hard work so you guys don't have to. Bye for now.